You had basically no objections. And then this is also a difference of style on this. I've never been a fan of throwing out a number. Even if I
Oh,
can't get one,
okay.
I will circle back, right? Like there's
Okay.
different ways you can approach it. For example, I sometimes will ask a seller if they know a number they absolutely don't want, like what that number is for me to not even call you back, like the kick
Okay.
rocks number, right? Or something like, hey, do you know what similar things in the area are going for, right? That's another way to kind of set that up. Some be like, oh, well, my neighbor's house is going for 100,000. Okay, well, how does your house compare to that, right? So there's like ways you can kind of broach the price subject and kind of get a price indication without throwing the number out there, because that is kind of where the combo went a little bit. It didn't necessarily go awry. I think you still did a good job at keeping it clean, but it's you said the 100,000. Now she's kind of going back and forth with you on the price. Um,
But so
present.
would you
Go ahead.
always have them throw out the number first?
Yeah. So this is a tough one to give feedback on, to not go super deep into it. There is a hard and fast rule of never give the first number, right? But anyone who's done enough of these conversations knows no rule is a forever rule. So
Yes.
is there times where I have leaned into giving a number? Sure.
Okay.
But it has to be a situation where some sellers are just, they will not. They will go back and forth, and you will get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm losing credibility, right? And this is becoming too much of a back and forth. And then you'll, try to get around how you get to the number, but you might have to be the first one. But generally, especially in that situation, yeah, if I see they're not trying to give me a price, I'll just try to circle back to it. I don't like continuously pushing it there. But for example, like you asked her to paint the picture,
Yeah.
like maybe I'll ask her if hey, what is it that you're looking for the property? If they don't answer, maybe when I go back to painting the perfect picture, what do you need to get from the sale of this property for you to get that perfect picture, right? I'm like circling back to it. I'm just not hitting it super duper hard. And if I'm not getting in this conversation, that's okay. There's going to be other conversations. I'm big on take what the seller gives you in that conversation. So if
Okay.
it's, what I mean, if I'm not getting a hardcore number, that's
Yeah.
fine, right? I'm going to try to get the indication and I'll circle back. Um,
Oh,
I'd say solutions again. This call was interesting. Where if I went lenient, I could have given you higher scores on basically I think almost all these categories. Because I think it was set up for a good call. But I want to set you up for success in round two. Presentation solution thing, I do like that you did. Similar to what Brandon mentioned again, was kind of wrapping the call up, right? Like I don't think where you could have done better is give a very direct solution, but that's a little tougher in 6 minutes because you need a lot of information to give them a very specific answer, right?
Yeah.
But you did at least tell her, like, hey, I'm going to give you a call with an offer. Like you're setting up this idea of like, hey, this is what I'm going to go do. I'm going to work on this and I'm going to come back and give you something. Which is, it's a lot further than a lot of people are able to get in these calls. Because remember, in 6 minutes, you're doing all that and you got to give them something.
Yeah.
And then for strength to close and follow up, I'll give you a 4. So I think you had to rush a little bit at the end because you were running out of time, but you did set a time. You did schedule a follow up. You did do a bunch of those things. So overall, I think it was a really good job. I think it was a great call. I think, again, if I went lenient, I could have given you higher scores, but you evidently have a good foundation with how you're doing some of these questions and how you're having some of these convos. It's just about just cleaning it up a tad.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go through mine here pretty quickly. I heard 98% of it. I didn't hear the end because I got a phone call that I had to take. Strength of intro, I'm gonna give you a 4. I think it was good. You were straight to the point. Yeah, we'll go there. I'm going to also give you a 4 on rapport. I think you did a good job. You did a fantastic job of navigating a contrary personality type. You brought her in where you needed to, you balanced it out, and you did it pleasantly, right? Note how Jasper reined Savannah back in like a clunky loafer, right? Like Caroline, you couldn't tell. So Caroline did a great job of bringing that stuff back in. Fact finding and uncovering motivation, I'm going to go right across the line with that. I think you did a good job. The rest of where I'm going to go here is I'm going to give you a 4 for, it's 4, 3, and then I'm going to split the difference at the bottom because I didn't hear the bottom. No. 3.5, 4, 3.
3.5 here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. 4.
4, 3, and then 3.5. And I'm just splitting the difference there because I didn't hear that. So I'm just going to assume you guys are on the right path. Here's what I'm going to say for the rest of this. Here's what you did great. You were great. You were present in the call. You did a fantastic job of reining her back in. I could hear that you have practiced those scenarios. That sounded like practice. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You can go ahead and stop sharing, Samir. So you got a score of 67. You can put that over there. Great score. I think a score of 67 gets you in the top 15. I don't know that it gets you in the top 8. My suspicion is 75 and up is really where you want to be. We don't know. We don't know what the numbers are going to be, but that's my suspicion based on previous times doing this. That being
If I
said,
get a lower score in the real one, can I use this score?
sure. We'll negotiate it. We'll negotiate it. Do you want my honest opinion, Caroline? Because I take a different approach. Okay.
Always.
I said this yesterday. I've said it a million times. Your biggest strength is also your greatest weakness until you learn to master it. You have a very strong personality. You are also extremely intelligent. What does that give you as an advantage? It gives you the ability to assess your situation very quickly. It gives you the ability to course correct from a place of confidence, right? Not from a place of insecurity. For guys who were here earlier on the call, we're throwing it out here because we were being transparent. Who sounded more confident on their call, Caroline or Rick? For people who heard it, who sounded more confident on their call, Caroline or Rick? Palm reader. Now I'm going to ask a different question. For those who heard both calls, we all know Rick's a nice guy. Rick knows his stuff. Who would you rather sell your house to if the offer was the same? Caroline or Rick? Interesting how that works, because it doesn't matter if their offer is the same. It doesn't matter if they're both equally knowledgeable when it comes to real estate. Why are we going with Caroline? Because confidence does things that information and offers can't do, right? So just so we're clear, your ability, your confidence and your knowledge does those things for you. Let me tell you what it does against you. It makes you think you're always right because you know you are. And that's not an arrogant statement. You trust that you're usually right because you know you do the work to become right. You weren't given right. You earned right. The problem is when you know you're right, you treat other people like you know you're right. And people don't like the way that feels. And it's an unconscious thing that they notice. It's an undertone where the confidence starts crossing over and sounding like something else. And here's what happens. That necessarily didn't happen in this call. But what does happen is that because you feel like you're on the right track, when you have a conversation that you actually need to stop doing what you know to be right and do something else, you don't course correct because you're like, well, why would I course correct? I'm good with what I do. Look at all the other times this worked. This was the right answer all those other times. Of course it's right now. You're so confident in your abilities, you're too confident to second guess yourself. And sometimes you need to second guess yourself. Sometimes you need to stop and ask yourself, hold on, is this the right path? Should I course correct? And the willingness to lay that down is a difficulty for very confident people who usually know they're right. Because why would you need to second guess yourself? Why would you need to ask yourself if what I'm doing is actually the right thing if it's been right so many times? And that's where you're going to lose a lot of deals, Caroline. Now, let me clarify by what I mean by a lot of deals. Out of 10 deals, putting Caroline next to somebody else who is less skilled and less confident, maybe Caroline's getting 5 where they get 3. That's fair. But my question is, are you comfortable with 5 when you could have gotten 7.5 or 8? No. Are you? Because some people may be.
No.
Okay, so we're okay. Well, there you. So you want to be 10, and that's the right question, and I'm going to tell you why. If your goal is to get 5, don't listen to me, Caroline. You're already good enough to get 5 all day long, where other people are getting 3. You're already above average. What I'm saying is, I see the opportunities for 8s. That's what I see, and it's going to require looking at things that your brain. This is where I see you and Jasper are similar. Your brain will not see your blind spot in these examples. So there are going to be some things where you're going to need third-party perspective, and not just today, but ongoing. Because as you evolve, what you say and the types of conversations you're having are going to evolve. So the advice that works for Caroline today won't work 6 months from now. So the summary of what happened in this call, the reason it started tapering off towards the end is empathy should have taken over intelligence, and you should have course corrected a little bit, and you didn't because your brain didn't think you needed to. And I think that's where it starts tapering off. There's a lot more you can do when you start letting those other instincts step in. And I think that it depending on the call that you get, who you are today might get you in the 80s. And you could practice nothing. But what happens if you get a call that doesn't serve those areas? I want you to be strong enough to survive in those, and that's where I would give the feedback there. Hopefully that makes sense.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
For
I
sure.
think Savannah was going to share something.
What's that?
Savannah was going to share something, right?
Savannah, what you got?
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. My business, because everyone was asking, it was a home-based daycare. So I converted my downstairs to be a daycare.
So
Nice.
I had some feedback or input, Caroline, really quick
Please.
on that price point. I think for the sake of competition, you should try to go for the price, because if somebody's not able to get to the price, or everybody who's listening is in the competition, it may hinder your score. But regarding the flow of a conversation, I think Samir was right. You know, like bring up the neighbors. I love using a line like, hey, typically, when I speak to most people, when they first thought about selling, they had a price in mind that really got them excited. When you first thought about selling, what was your price? Right? That's another thing you could use. And there's a few things. And then I would look to reverse engineer, like Samir said, because at that point, when you're talking about price, you should have really have gotten motivation, depending on how you're flowing on the conversation. But then you reverse engineer. Okay, well, if you need to go to Florida and you're trying to buy that property, well, how much was that property again? Were you gonna buy that all cash, or was that traditional? Were you gonna use FHA or conventional? Was that a 10% conventional, or was that 20%? Okay, how much is that property you're looking to buy? 100,000. So you need about 20,000. Did you already have the funds to already purchase the next one, or did you happen to need to sell this one to get the 20,000? Okay, so now we know you need $20,000. How much were you expecting on top of that? Or how much else did you? So reverse engineer, and if they really pushing back, then I would pull back. I would pull back like, hey, a lot of sellers that I've spoken to, when they don't know how much they want for the property, it's because they're really not ready to sell, right? Or maybe they're thinking about selling, but it's probably like a year or 2 years out. Is that the case for you? And then I would look to completely walk away, because I feel like if we can't get price, then they're not ready, and we shouldn't take them serious. But that was just my perspective on things.
That's fantastic feedback. Are you ready to go?
No, I'm not ready to go today.
You're skipping the opportunity to practice this evening, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm gonna practice on my own. I'm gonna practice on my
in front of all these people, you just not gonna lead by example and do a practice round, is what I'm hearing.
112 people. I love you guys.
Wow. Okay.
Happy New Year's, but I'm gonna pass on this practice today.
You can just say you're scared. Like, it's okay to be scared, Brandon, or
I
you're
seen
nervous.
Cassandra walk in. I saw Cassandra walk in, and she has me shaking in my boots.
As she should. She would have
You
me shaking in my
liar.
boots as well.
You liar, Brandon.
Cassandra, I swear though, earlier I was like, yo, Cassandra's nice. Everybody could admit that. Like, I really said that. I'm like, Cassandra's nice. So you playing around and scared, but you are.
Cassandra's nice.
Bro,
Ashley,
I want to see your stuff. Come on.
he doesn't want to do it. We asked him. He keeps going back. He backpedaling like a Peloton class.
Why are you breaking our hearts, Brandon?
No.
Are you
Cassandra,
breaking-
you ready to break?
He doesn't want me to be a seller. Is that what it is?
Let's let Ashley go.
Perfect.
Yay.
Let's go.
Ashley, how you feeling? Shout out to Ashley for having a stronger backbone than Brandon Duran. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Brandon. I'm over here. Never called seller. Never called an agent. Just throwing myself.
An
to the
entire
wolves.
CPA is out closing Brandon.
Let's go, Ashley. I believe in you.
Shout out to anybody who ever needs consulting in the CPA world. If you're not calling Ashley, you're calling somebody that's probably less skilled. Just a fun fact. She's helping us with a business acquisition right now, and it's mind-boggling the things that she's catching. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a good point. Would have never in a million years thought to ask that question. Appreciate you. Okay, so Ashley, how you feeling?
I'm a little tired.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and pick up the energy for this so I can get better tonality and, make the connection, build the rapport. So, but I am warning you that I'm tired.
Okay, we got faith in you. You're gonna do well. Savannah, are you good to go?
Yes, I'm going through this list Caroline gave me. Give me.
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Dylan has become a front runner for me in this thing. I'm putting him in my top 5. Like this is a hip hop conversation, right? Like if you ask me who's in my top 5, Dylan has made it into my top 5. as far as people who I think that got the chance to make it to Arizona. Plus, they did like $500,000 plus last year in like 8 months or something like that in acquisitions fees. They're crushing like a wine press. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. I got the timer ready. Whenever you're ready, say ring ring.
All right, ring ring.
Hello.
Hi. This Savannah?
Yes, this is Savannah.
Hi, Savannah. My name's Ashley, and I'm with Affinity Property Group. Just giving you a call. I understand that you're trying to sell your property.
Yes, uh-huh.
Sure. Awesome. Is now a good time to chat for about 5 minutes?
Sure.
Great. So what has you looking to sell your property?
I had it listed on the market, but it didn't do well, I guess. So yeah, just trying to pick out another agent to put it on the market with.
Got it. Got it. So, just so you know, I am not an agent. I am a prospective buyer. So, if we are able to, I want to hear a little bit more about your property, but if we're able to get to a deal here, you get to save a little money by not having to pay an agent to buy your property. So, can
Okay.
you tell me a little bit about why you think it didn't make it on the MLS?
I honestly just think it was the agent. I was using a friend, but I don't think she knew what she was doing.
Got it. Okay. So what is bringing you to sell your property right now?
I want to move closer to my parents, so they live in Nebraska. So I'm just thinking of selling and moving out there.
Okay. So you're thinking of selling?
No,
Or are you
that's
sure you want to sell?
no, I'm sure.
Awesome. Cool. So is it just you, or you have kids, family? Or is it just you in the house?
It's just me.
Okay, cool. That's fun. Okay, so let's see. Can you remind me how big is your house?
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's about 1,800 square feet. I think it might just be a hair under.
Okay. All right. So if you, in a perfect world, how would this scenario go? What would be your perfect price? How quickly would you want to get out of the house and move on?
I had it listed for 365. That's just what the agent told me it was worth. So that's why we chose that number.
Okay. And have you recently done any upgrades to the house? New roof, AC, anything like that?
I actually redid the flooring. So the downstairs and the upstairs all have new flooring. The bathroom vanities were replaced like 2 years ago. And then the
How long have you
kitchen.
lived? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it's okay. I've had the house for 6 years.
6 years. What were you gonna say about the kitchen?
That was updated, I think, by the previous owner.
Okay. Okay. And then how much do you owe on the house?
I owe it's about 185.
So the agent said your house is about 365, and that's what you listed it for.
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, when you decided to sell your house, did you have a price in mind? What you thought maybe it was worth, or?
I honestly just trusted my friend, but she is a newer agent, so I'm not sure if that's why. I didn't really even get any feedback, so I don't know why it's not moving, if that was like the right price.
Yeah, I can take a look and see kind of what the comps are in your neighborhood and get an idea of what other houses and I can come out and take a look and see how your house compares to other houses that are selling in the market and get a good idea of what a good price point would be. So you owe about 185, and just say maybe your house is over, over listed a little bit. And say you walk away with something around 300, a little over 300, whatever we end up deciding is a fair price. What do you plan on doing with that money?
I'm gonna be staying with my parents for a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy another house out there right away, but that's where the money would go to eventually, is just buying another house.
Okay. So there's probably a few different options that we have here. But I would really like an opportunity to come, look at the property, get on the internet and get into these different programs I have to make sure that we have a good price and something to support the offer that I'm going to give you. So, do you have a chance within the next day or so to get together and let me take a look at your house?
Yeah, you can. I'm off work on Friday, so if you want to come by on Friday, we could do Friday.
Okay. Is there
And
any
that
specific
is
time?
time.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Ashley, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling better than I did the other day.
Okay. Let's go ahead and pull this thing up, Samir. I'm going to go ahead and go first, and let's see what the fellas have to say. I am going to be a little harder on you because I want you to be ready for round 2. Is that cool?
That's good.
I'm going to start this off by using a metaphor, right? Everything about the way I teach when it comes to sales is based on not what you should say, but what you should need to understand to get yourself in a better position. So let me ask you this. Let's say you lived in the middle of nowhere in Montana, right? Beautiful home, beautiful acreage, nobody around you for 15 miles, right? But you really, 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 really wanted to be an owner of a McDonald's franchise. Would it be a good idea to put the McDonald's in the front of your house for your convenience? Or would it be better, even though it's inconvenient and uncomfortable for a drive, for you to put the McDonald's where everybody else is?
Rob, I feel like that's an obvious answer. you want the business, so put it where everybody else is.
Put it where everybody else is, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use that same example for communication.
Mm-hmm.
There are a certain type of people, introverts are in this category, or people who have introverted tendencies, who communicate like the guy who has a McDonald's in the middle of nowhere. What do I mean? They're communicating from their location. Mm-hmm. The best communicators communicate from the location of their listener. Does that make sense? They phrase their communication. They present themselves in a fashion, not in a fashion that's most convenient for their listening, but in a fashion that's most convenient for the listener, right? So what does that mean? If I'm trying to do sales and I want to get Caroline's attention, I am going to edit the way I communicate in a way that's going to be most engaging to Caroline. If I'm talking to Savannah, I'm going to do the same, and so on. I am tailoring my message to the listener. I am not expecting the listener to come to me. That's why I use the McDonald's example, right? Introverts are the people that are in Montana in the middle of nowhere, and because they want a McDonald's, they put it right there and hope everybody comes to them. That's how they communicate. They communicate from their perspective. They communicate in a way that makes sense to their brain and in a way that makes them feel comfortable, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with a human being communicating in a way that makes them feel comfortable. But you have to understand it. If you're going to do it that way, not everybody's going to come to you. Mm-hmm. And as a result, you're going to lose out on a lot of gaps in communication because you think what you're saying makes perfect sense. But you're expecting them to come and understand you instead of tailoring your message in a way that they're going to understand. I use that example because that's what I hear when I listen to you talk. Right? I hear you speaking from your perspective and not speaking for the listener. I think the more you can get comfortable tailoring your speech for the listener, the better engagement you're going to get when people are talking to you, right? That being said, so strength of intro. I'm going to give you 2 on the strength of intro. Because 1, you asked if it was the person, right? Usually not a best way to get into the conversation. It's usually better just to assume that you have the person in mind. And then if I recall correctly, you actually asked if they had a couple minutes to talk. Also, a just not great habit to get into. It sounds polite, but it's just a great way to get them to say no. The assumption is if you answered, you got time. And if you don't, guess what? You're going to tell me, right? So don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. So I'll give you a 2 for that. Rapport building, it just felt flat. Savannah, correct me if I'm wrong. It just seemed like there was just a gap the whole time. You were just a little bit awkward, a little bit uncomfortable. You weren't really understanding why she was asking questions the way they asked. Again, it didn't make sense to you. It made sense to Ashley, but you were like, okay, I guess I'll play along, right? Was that kind of the right vibe, Savannah?
Yeah, I would say it probably even brought my energy down a little bit. I felt like I was more matching her energy.
Exactly. And so what happened, you end up trying to match her energy to feel better, and it brought the conversation down, which is a whole different topic I won't go into. So for rapport building, I'm also going to give you 2. Fact finding, uncovering motivation, I'm going to give you a 3 because you did ask good questions. I just don't think you asked them in the best way. And as a result, you got friction in your feedback, and it was slower to get there. And so you didn't really get there as good as possible. I'm going to give you a 2 in overcoming objections. Objections are a tough part. Here's why. There are going to be people in this conversation who get a 5 in overcoming objections that never got an objection. Do you know why?
They didn't have any.
Because they did such a good job in everything else, there was nothing to object about, right? And so in this situation, the flip side of that is if you don't ever get to objections, but the reason is because of all of the other things that didn't go the right way, that becomes an objection in and of itself. So I'm going to give you a 2 for the overcoming objections. Presentation solutions, I'm going to give you a 2 as well. Strength to close a follow-up, I'm going to give you a 1 on that. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I think, Ashley, you have a good personality, right? You are extremely capable in these conversations. And I guarantee you can solve people's problems like nobody's business, right? Like we've interacted offline. You are a G on like all fronts, right? But if we're gauging this at this tier of a conversation, a person who has 0 skill set but can make someone feel like they do will beat the person with all the skills that doesn't sound like they have them, right? And so my goal would be to bridge the gap and just how do we do a couple of things to wrap this up? A couple of things that you could do. Energy is definitely a thing. There's some things you can do with tonality. We talked about this before. There's some hacks that you can do as you're evolving your communication style that I think would help with your bridging the gap until you actually get there in the way you communicate. If you decide you ever want to change certain ways you communicate, I think there's certain hacks you can do that make it sound like you are doing it even when you're not. So that's my feedback as far as that's concerned.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job, Ashley. I think DQ was extremely thorough in his feedback, and I really don't have much more to add. So yeah, good job, Ashley. Thanks for showing me up and getting uncomfortable. And Ashley, are you in round 2?
Yep.
I am. I got a golden glove.
Let's go. Awesome. I look forward to hearing more from you. So I'm gonna actually just match DQ scores.
Okay. 2, 2.
Be original, Brandon.
2, 0, 1. Okay, I'll throw mine in here. I'll give you some quick feedback. 2, 2, 3 there.
Appreciate you, Frank. Hope to see you again next time, man.
So for intro, I gave you a 2.5. If I'm not mistaken, I think your first word was and I also think you mentioned the company at some point. Like it was like a call center open almost. Bunch of different things, directions you could have went with that one. But yeah, assuming it's the right person, coming in with a little more energy, some of those things you could have done to fix there. Rapport 2.5. I agree with the feeling of the convo being a little bit flat. I think there are different levels of things to work on. With like tonality is one thing, with being a little monotone, the energy is another thing. I think you probably start with the energy. I think that's probably what was felt here more, even if there wasn't like even if your tonality is not perfect, where you sound almost like, like a cartoon character, almost like how we sound sometimes being expressive. If you have high energy, it can fill a lot of gaps, So I think kind of working on both those things that can really help you a lot there. Fact finding, uncovering motivation. I gave you 2.5. You know, I don't think asking the right question is necessarily your issue. I just think the convo overall just kind of stalled out just because of the overall flow. So there was probably questions you would have gotten to and asked good questions for. You just didn't really get there. Overcoming objections, presentation solutions, I would say same thing. Um, I actually really like DQ's feedback on that. I mean, I don't know you particularly well, but just your overall demeanor tells me that once you get the appropriate information, you'll be able to give the seller a good solution, right? Like once you get to the point of knowing what they need, you will be able to put together, a great solution for them and help them out. It's just about being able to connect with them enough to get that info. Um, I gave you 3 here. Maybe I'm the one that was mistaken. I feel like you did schedule a follow up, so that's why I gave you a 3 on it. I would have locked it down a little bit better because I think she just told you could come by on Friday. Again, I might be mistaken on that. Personally, if you really want a strong close on a follow up, I like kind of leaning towards giving them a time that works, or maybe just getting a little more of a solid answer as opposed to I might have some time on Friday, and then you could say you'll swing by, but at least you addressed it. So I gave you a 3 on it. But yeah, overall, bunch of little things you can add on there, but I think you'll be great.
Great. Thank you for the feedback. My score keeps getting lower.
So, but I need more response on the feedback. Tell us how you're feeling. What are you thinking? What's going through your head right now?
So I'm trying to find a balance. So the first time, my first call, I think we talked about how I'm naturally a little bit more direct, right? Mm-hmm. And my second time, I tried to overcompensate, which didn't go over very well. So I'm trying to find a balance between like being myself, but also being more personable. I keep thinking about the fact that I will never be the person that can sell ice cubes to Eskimos. Like I truly have to believe in something and believe that I can make a difference and have options for somebody in order to be able to come across as genuine, right? I do match other people's energy. And so if they're matching my energy and my energy sucks, then it's just a vicious circle.
Yeah.
And so I recognize that. And so I'm trying to find a balance between being too direct and too bland and disingenuine, right? Not being too like.
Well, here's
not genuine.
Do you guys? I'm gonna give you guys an example, right? And this is something I teach on a lot. I've used this example here. I'm gonna use it many times going forward. And I don't think people understand this. It's really, really funny when you start to break down. And I'm gonna nerd out here for a second. You guys okay if I nerd out for a second? I'm gonna nerd out for a second. When you start to break down humans on the planet, right? You have X amount of personality types. It's my belief that there's about a handful of personality types, base personality types. Then you have subsets, right? And then this goes into a bunch of different conversations I won't go into. But when you're doing that, you have people that have different approaches towards the way they do things. And why they do that goes into a much deeper conversation, right? Listen to Samir talk. Listen to me talk. Listen to some people talk. And what you're going to hear is that when I talk, like just listen to the way I do it. I do it naturally. I'm going to talk like this, and then I'm going to bring it down, and then I'm going to pause, and I'm going to have these different elevations in the way I communicate. Why? Why do you think I do that, Ashley?
I feel like you're probably just that way at this point.
I think there's an element of to it so yes, it's an element of I'm just like that. I'm going to tell you why I think it is. Since I was a kid, since I was a child, I have always understood people really, really, really well. I just get people. I always have. I didn't understand why at first. It was kind of weird. But I've told this example the other day. I remember being 8 years old. And when I was trying to get my friends to let their parents let us sleep over, I would teach them how to present the request to their parents to increase the likelihood of their parents saying yes. And I just, as a child at 8 years old, I understood this. I don't know why I understood that. What I think I did over time, because I grew up in a rough environment, I had a hard time fitting in. I went to 2, 3, 4 schools a year. And so what happens, I'm moving around a lot and I got to make new friends. And what I learned at a young age is how to tailor myself for the person that I'm dealing with, because I wanted to be accepted. I'm a kid. I want to get liked. I'm moving to a new school all the time, right? And so these are the things that you learn how to do. And so it was kind of like a defense mechanism growing up in tough environments. You got to know how to act. And so what I think I did is at a young age, I learned how to do these things, because what I learned is that my voice and the way I present myself can magically change how people treat me. But if you never had to do that, why would you? You're just going to do what you do and people are going to take it or leave it. You're going to like me or not. And there's nothing wrong with either one of those things. But here's the example that I use. And I won't play it now just because my screen's been being weird when it comes to sharing screens. How many of you could do me a favor, guys? Do this. Google, go into YouTube and search, I think it's Avengers Endgame. I'm going to give you guys a little hack. We won't do it now. I'm going to see if I can find the link. Avengers Endgame without music. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find it. Okay, so I'm going to go to here. I'm going to send this in the chat. Do this favor for me. Real quickly, Samir, do you want to share these? Let's do this real quickly. Samir, here's one. There is no audio. Don't share that one yet. Okay.
Japanese. Okay, it's in chat. So don't do this one.
Don't do that one yet. Okay, do this one first. I want you guys to watch this. Make sure you share audio. I want you guys to watch the difference between these two things. Share this one first. We'll watch it for like a minute, and then we'll watch the other one.
I don't see it. Okay.
Make sure you share audio. And I want you guys to pay attention to something real quickly.
Link. There's an ad. Boom. Okay. Share screen sound. Boom. You guys see it?
Yeah. Turn it up, crank it, and play it. Okay, we're good. All right, so you guys got the gist of it. Play the other one.
Captain. On your left.
good.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Who is this character?
Which character?
The top right. Is that?
I have no idea. Just, bro, stop sharing the screen, man. What are you talking about?
Nah, that's crazy.
That's not my YouTube link. In any case, honest question, Ashley, and for everybody in here, did you guys notice a drastic difference in like a 60 to 90 second scene? Right? Like it feels different. Everything about it feels different. It's a completely different movie. How many of you guys would actually probably get bored if it was almost kind of awkward, right? How many of you would get bored if you watched a movie without the music in the background after hearing what it sounds like? What we don't realize is that every movie we watch has that music in the background because there's something about the emotion that happens with those things when we're in the conversation. And here's my point, guys. Your voice is the soundtrack to your conversations. Remove voice inflections, and it sounds like that movie without the music in the background. That is how the human ear hears conversations when we just talk like this and we don't really decide to put any inflection and right? This isn't a closer thing, right? Because Brandon has a scenario where he has said that he's dealt with this. Tyler deals with this as well. There are just certain people who do not have the voice inflections. And I'm telling you right now, when you can start adding the voice inflection, you control the music in the conversation. You're deciding if in that point you want to make, you're going to bring them in and really make them listen and really make them pay attention. Or if you're going to make them step back and you're going to make them tired of the conversation. Right? And when you do stuff like that, you learn how to pay attention to it, you have no idea how much of a difference it plays in the conversation. So that being said, I use that simple example is, guys, like if you do not have that by default, it will be awkward. I promise you want to practice it. I promise you want to practice it. Because when you start doing it, you will realize how drastically different the exact same message is received by your audience. Does that make sense? Yeah? No? Does it not make sense? Okay. Maybe I need a soundtrack to this example.
This is why Brandon didn't want to go, man. You just like beat me up.
The goal was to lift you up, but apparently I did a horrible job at doing it.
No. I appreciate feedback. I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to get better. So
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you guys see and have been here, those of you guys who have been here, you see that a lot of the people who are part of the competition keep slowly pushing the competition back. It looks like Friday we actually have people that are ready to go. I hope that they practice. Savannah, we got to schedule some time for everybody in the crew to do some training to get ready for round 2. Savannah, how you feeling? I should have not done my little movie example. I should have just let you go.
Yo, Savannah, I'm pretty sure there's a spot open on Friday, the first day.
Interesting.
Oh, my connection, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Is that like
wow.
an actual
That's
thing?
crazy.
Or is
In
it
like a few weeks, I haven't seen a bad connection once.
I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie. But I did sign up for the Closers Collective, so you guys all better watch out.
Shout out. I'm excited. We'll train and we'll get you ready. But I appreciate it. So, Savannah, how are you feeling? You've heard a lot of people go. You've been at the cellar a lot of times. How are you feeling about the competition? What do you think is going to happen here?
I feel like I've practiced too much being a seller. I'm not sure if I can be a buyer.
It'll be fun to see how that plays out for sure.
I'm going to like forget that I'm supposed to be a buyer.
That's hilarious. Bago, I appreciate that. Cassandra, how are you feeling? Are you excited? What day did you sign up for?
I ended up signing up for next Wednesday because Monday was full. And as you can see from today, I can't really get into the daily to the dial until like maybe an hour, half hour before it's over.
Are you nervous? Are you practicing? What are you doing? What's the plan?
Yeah, I need to get some people together to practice. I know Lizanne wants to, and anybody else who wants to get together, let's do it. We might not have the best seller like Savannah, who is like the magical seller of all time, but I'll try to make sure we're not in a blue space or whatever.
The blue zone. I was like, what is a blue space? What is she talking about?
I think, you know what's funny? I think it's like a thing. It's like
No,
a
it's a blue
property
zone.
near like a lake. No, there's like they have blue spaces too, like green spaces.
Seriously?
Right.
Yeah. I
Don't
was like,
count
what, a
on
house
me.
by a
I'm an
lake?
insomniac. I'm an insomniac. Don't count on me. I just needed Eddie to ask me what the fuck I was talking about.
Red
That's
space.
hilarious. That's awesome. Oliver, how are you feeling, man?
Nice.
You got me all flustered.
That's the goal. That's how you know you're doing it right.
You know, I mean, I got so much to say. Like, where is my nutshell for this? I'm feeling good. I'm not bringing myself to any sort of overconfidence by any means, but I'm feeling good. I'm not just feeling good about the competition. I'm just feeling good about how I feel about phone calls, about talking to people, about inflections, about having that conversation. Like,
Who hears him doing it right now and is like leaning in as he's doing it? Like, I'm actively hearing you do it and it's working.
Yo, I'll tell you what, like you guys didn't know me 5 years ago, but like I was not in the same place. Like, I'm getting back that teenage Oliver. I'm getting back having those conversations. Like, I don't know. I love being here. I love being on Nightly Dial. Should probably be raising my hand a whole lot more. I'll tell you that much. But man, this has just been good for the heart. This has been good for a lot of things. So how do I feel about the competition? Just to bring it back is I'm feeling good. I think I'm going to do well. I don't feel like I need to follow scripts. I'm not getting hung up on what are the right things to say. I know that I got you all to help me, finish up phone calls. I'm just here to have a conversation, see what you're trying to figure out. Because I'm remembering a lot of people don't even know why they want to move out of their house. I didn't even want to know why I wanted to move out of this off-grid house. And we're just trying to help them figure it out. So I'm feeling good. I think there's a good possibility, I could get to that next round, but we're going to see. We're going to see.
I like it. The whole entire presentation he just gave was with a fantastic level of voice inflection. So I like it. Very engaging.
That's my music.
Robin Hurt, how are you feeling? What about you?
I feel like I will at least participate. I don't know where I'll rank in the whole show, but it will be
at the top.
It'll be fun just to be part of the crowd.
At the top. You're gonna come practice, right?
I'm gonna come back. What?
You're gonna come practice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Teresa, okay. I'd like to hear your perspective because you are new to Sub 2, surprisingly. But you've obviously been around. You come to some of the boot camps, right? What's your perspective on this whole craziness?
Sorry, I was going to be speaking out of the darkness. On the competition, you mean?
Whole thing, competition, what you're learning, what you're hearing, the people that are going, the whole shebang.
I think this is amazing because honestly, these calls were one of the biggest things I was excited for in Sub 2. Because if you remember, when I came to the boot camps, I was in sales, but I was not in real estate sales positions. So it's a lot of this. It all applies. But I was like, well, it seems kind of fun to have these conversations because there's more to them than a little bit more than what I was doing in my contracting sales. So, because it's more transactional, but so this is the biggest thing that I was excited about, and I love it. I've always thought that role playing was the most powerful tool, and so it's amazing but we only would have it at random team meetings and stuff, and so having something 3 times a week where you can come and just jam and practice with people and actually compete with each other. And I love that you're doing the competition. I think that's a great idea. It just makes it so much more fun in a different way to get better because we can get stuck, in patterns. So I'm into it. I mean, I'm not competing, but I'm happy to jump in with any of the teams that are practicing, and I'm excited to start making these kinds of calls.
Love it. I appreciate it. All right, Caroline, back to you. Give us your thoughts. How are you feeling about this whole thing? How are you thinking you're going to do? What's your thought on the whole scenario? The thoughts, the challenge, the feedback, the everything.
Yeah, I mean, I love this community. I love this opportunity. Thank you for holding space. I think that I think that I'm gonna learn a lot to be able to apply it to the 6 minutes. But I guess like one of my concerns is that it may not really mimic real life. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is the real life, so we can close deals and make money. So I think I'm just a little bit like unsure. Like, for example, in my mind, I already know that whatever I say in the 6 minute call, the conversation will advance because it's role playing, right? But in real life, that's not the case. In real life, if I say something that upsets the seller, they may hang up on me. So it's just making sure that I delineate like the areas that I can take into the real calls. Like, I think it was Brandon or whomever, Samir, had given me some like really good advice about like, you know, when you're digging for motivation, you really need to understand the impact. So not just like the situation, but like what's the impact and what will happen if the seller doesn't sell. So that is something I can take into real life. But I think it's just that for me, it's just being able to delineate, okay, this is role playing, so it might not actually work. And then these are the things that I need to bring into my real calls.
Have you ever seen The Karate Kid?
The Karate Kid, like with Jackie Chan, or like the original one?
Like the original Karate Kid, like the old school Karate Kid.
Yes, I have.
All right. If this is you just you exemplified my original example about your strength also being your weakness, right? Do you guys remember what was the whole premise of the Karate Kid? What does everybody remember about the Karate Kid? Anybody want to take a stab here? Right?
Wasn't the wax?
Wax on, wax off, paint the fence, right? All of the different things. Why? For the same reason you just said that, you know, your concern was. Why was he having him do a bunch of things? Because even though in an actual fight, he's not going to be waxing a car or painting a fence, it's the muscle memory that's developed by doing repetitive actions that may not reflect real life that gains the muscle memory that once you learn how to do that consistently, once you're in the real situation, next thing you know, these things are coming back. So as much as these calls don't necessarily represent real life, the need to learn how to control your time and be aware of your surroundings will 100% benefit you in real calls. The ability to encounter really weird out of the blue situations and not only contain your composure, but also be able to advance the conversation and not get flustered will 100% help you in real situations. So while most of the stuff that we're going to encounter will probably not very often, if ever, and be encountered in real life, I can tell you right now, the abilities and the skills that you learn from practicing those things will 100% benefit you. And some of the things that we're going to bring actually have happened in real life. A lot of them have happened in real life because of the fact that there's just these wild cards that you hear stories about in sub 2. So I definitely hear what you're saying, but I promise you it'll have a bigger application than you realize. That's actually why we did round 2 the way that we did it. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Anybody got any final conversations, final questions? If you're newer here and you're kind of just trying to get a feel for this whole entire thing, anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
So when we do these, are we doing it as a follow-up or are we doing it as a first call?
Always a follow-up.
Because I've been seeing practices with either or.
Always a follow-up.
Okay.
Hey, I just want to thank everybody for your feedback tonight. I know excitement does sell. I know that sometimes mimicking a customer or a seller or an agent sometimes can backfire. So I really do appreciate, and I'm going to get better, and I'm going to be some competition for you guys. So watch out.
Oh, I like it. Samir, any final thoughts, broski?
Wait, I have a quick question, Samir.
Yes. Yeah, shoot.
So
No, go ahead.
Daniel, is the round 2, is it actually just 6 minutes or is it 7 minutes?
6 minutes.
Okay, all right, that was it. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see everyone actually get to start making the calls. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Samir, you think you're making it to Arizona, or are you going to sabotage yourself so you don't have to buy a plane ticket?
Maybe 50-50.
I hate you
But
so much.
I mean, I think it's interesting. It goes back to Caroline's point with, am I afraid to have seller conversations? Absolutely not. But a 6-minute role play is definitely outside of my comfort zone. So I am kind of curious to see how well I do, even on my own.
I like it. Well, let's wrap up with Angie. Guys, I'm going to try to get everybody coordinated. Ashley, if you could help me with this, because you've been phenomenal. You're better at wrangling closers than I am. I want to get started like immediately, like within the first 15 minutes going forward. Like I don't want to delineate. I don't want to waste time at the beginning of the call. So if we can get straight to it, I want to. So if we can get everybody that's going to be going that night, like in there and ready to go, that would be fantastic. Maybe we do an intro, kind of welcome the new people, and then get straight going so we can get through a lot of role plays. I'd like to do that. Angie Milanazzo, are you still here?
I'm here.
Okay, let's hear what's your thoughts on all this as we wrap up. Right, you're an amazing leader. You guys did like $3 billion in business last year. You guys, crush the elephant challenge. You guys are crushing the game. Your team is almost all represented in round 2. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? How are you feeling about it? What's your expectations going in to the actual live competitions?
I think that this challenge, it's really going to help others too. So that's what I'm excited for. Our team being able to help other people. Well, maybe people, they'll come to our team to close their deals.
Boom.
I think it's, yeah. This is great.
Aren't you guys looking for team members?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Or JV partners?
I mean, yeah, JV partners all day long.
Okay.
Now, like, forming a team is very rough. People come and go, right?
Preach.
But we're still in the process of trying to build that.
Okay, but if people want to JV with you and they want to do business with you, and try to make some of that money that you guys made last year, what do they need to do?
Show up, learn to earn.
Hit me up.
Yeah, hit Dylan up, hit Joey up. Come to our Zooms. We have Zooms, twice a week. We do training as well. I love the daily and nightly dials. Get better at what you do and send us leads. Let's be.
Okay, guys, who here is trying to get a deal, more deals, or your first deal? And you're out here prospecting, you don't know what to do next. You're on your own, you're going solo, you're trying to figure it out, you don't know the things. Please do business with Angie and Dylan and everybody over there. I put Dylan in my top 5 because I think he's got a heavy chance to take this thing. And so
yeah,
you guys should 100% be doing business with them. Reach out to them. Savannah, stop it right now. You're not allowed to be scared of Dylan. You're not allowed. At least not out loud.
And can I post some links, or is that not allowed?
Post the links, bro.
I bet.
Just make sure I get my cut, is all I'm saying.
All right. Yeah, we got you. Anybody that sends a lead, make sure Dan sent you. Yeah, these are just some lead forms. If you guys struggling on something, you need help closing. Investor buyer forms if you want to join our buyers list, our website, our Discord, our Facebook group, and then the links to our Zooms every Tuesday and Friday.
Boom. So there you go, guys. Connect with them, jump in, do deals with them. Even if you're not sure if you're ready to do deals with them, right? As a person who's been like leading stuff and trying to help as many people as possible for this thing for years now, guys, just show up to the things, right? Like you don't need to know what you're doing. Just go into the Zoom. Like just go sit in the Zoom, listen to them, talk to them, like find out what's going on, because you being lost might be fixed by going into a Zoom and realizing, holy crap, this did not need to be this complicated. Let me just do business with these guys. Let me start there. And maybe you're going to be sending them deals for a couple of months and then you figure out how to do it on your own. Whatever that looks like, just go and do the things. Connect with these people. There's a reason Pace refers to them in such high regard. It's because they are good at what they do. So that being said, guys, hope you guys had an amazing night tonight. We just tried to have fun with it because everybody was scared to actually go today. But now it gets serious. Now we're getting straight to the meat and potatoes. Hope you guys had an amazing night. if you guys are getting value out of this, final request, go tell people, because come Friday, this is going to get serious. So make sure you guys are telling people, have them come out and support all of the people that are going on Friday. If you got somebody that's going to be able to learn from this thing, let them know. Pace gave us permission to stream these things, so we'll be putting them on YouTube. On my YouTube, we don't normally get that permission. Guys, take advantage of this while it's here, because it will not be here forever. So just take advantage of that. Hope you guys have an amazing night. See you guys on Friday.